Jeff, thanks, man.
Oh, hey, you stepped right up today.
100%.
Thanks for the shirt.
Absolutely.
And you let Thor take you on, because there was, oh my Lord. It's gotten worse.
What's up, everybody? It's Alex with Wollaston Real Estate Investments, and today we're hanging out with Jeff, who runs MSC. He is a real estate tax wizard, and for some reason, I thought it would be a great idea to let Thor, his tactically trained German Shepherd, bite me before we talked about business. And to be honest with you, I have really no idea why I did this. I think I needed an adrenaline rush. Maybe I should be, look at his face. I think I should have been concerned with how hyped up he was to put his dog on me. But it's training, it's practice, right? So, when he's not training Cujo here, he's running a cost segregation business, which is all about speeding up the depreciation on an investment property so that you can minimize active income and ultimately save taxable dollars. It's a super powerful wealth building concept. But he's like, we're nerds, this is boring stuff. So we had to counteract it with his crazy dog, which was absolutely ridiculous and so much fun. And Jeff is really, honestly, he's just a great guy all around, good heart. And when he's not running this epic business, he is running or helping run Swim with a Mission, which is an amazing nonprofit that raises money to help Navy SEAL veterans and their families. One of the things they do is they give away a lot of dogs. Not all of them are trained like Cujo here, but his mission and his organization is just truly incredible. And yeah, I certainly felt like this guy.
Comcast guy come in to do something in my office. So he shows up and Thor rushes to the door.
Gracie!
And the guy was like coming in the door and Thor's rushing the door. Dude wasn't barking, wasn't making any noise. And so the guy's in the office for like under a minute and he goes, I need to go back out to my truck. I'm like, okay. So he comes back in and he's got shorts on. And he goes, when Thor went after, we came to the door, he goes, I dropped the deuce.
Drop the deuce. I was so terrified, but shout out to Robin at Runchkin Hill. They are in the North Shore, West Newbury, We did a project up there on Main Street back in the day. It was such an incredible experience, though, and really just to see how well they train these dogs, because it's one thing to just see kind of like a rabid dog that you're afraid of, right? It's another to see one that's very well behaved and then will decide to attack you on command. This is one of those dogs that can like climb 10-foot walls or something. And right when that dog came up to me, I was like, oh, you're not wearing any of these pants. It's licking its lips. It's right near my jewels. But I'm so impressed that they just know where to bite. And I think I can actually get a tattoo now. I think I'm ready for it because I can handle that for a period of time. They're really strong. Like, I had a sweater on and I had that big padded jacket. And you could certainly feel, I can't imagine what it would feel like to be bit by one of these dogs, like who's doing his job for real. The dog's just like tweaking, man.
Transport!
And it was weird because Thor always looked like he wanted to kill me. This one was like, ooh, I'll smile to your face.
This one's awesome. Sit!
Ah, yes.
Turn in favor.
Moving me like I'm a high-value target.
Step back. Guard.
And
Pocket.
action. What's wrong with me? I was having so much fun. It was a great experience. Thank you to Robin and Jeff for doing this.
Yeah, no nuts.
Good girl. Ripley, Foos! Good girl.
Ah, yes. I asked them, I said, this dog reminds me so much of Frank, our pug, who's very tactically trained as well. So they said, yeah, we can train anything, which wouldn't that be funny to see a pug that was gum you to death? All right, no more talk about dogs. Well, a little bit more talk about dogs. Let's talk about taxes and cost segregations.
That's almost like paintball.
Yeah.
Except
It was a little more gnarly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I was like, I'm ready for a tattoo.
Well, you got that far with it. You kind of have a tattoo going.
Yeah.
Because there was talk that Thor and Vader had been seeing that you were posting things about our cost seg work, and they were a little upset. So it was good that you stepped up and tried to put your money where your mouth was, but you capitulated and.
I think we need to talk about where Thor and Vader are getting their information, because I think they're in a negative echo chamber.
Yeah.
I think they're in a negative echo chamber because all I do is preach about how great your cost segs are.
It must have been.
And I intro people, and then all of a sudden I'm getting attacked by dogs.
Well, you said, hey, let's get this going.
No, it was really cool. Thank you for the adrenaline rush.
Oh, man. I'm an adrenaline guy myself, so I thought about doing it, and then I saw one of the dudes that really does the bite suit work. And I said, no, that's not for me.
Dude, it was terrifying to be around the dog with the suit off. It was way more scary, like here.
Yeah, because we weren't sure where Thor was going to go with that. He had smelled you. He got a little blood there.
He got a little bit. He's a shark on land.
Yeah.
So thanks for letting us hang out and have a part of that. So you do cost segs, which we can talk about, but you also have Swim with a Mission. Right? Which I think I've been to a couple of your events and I've seen how powerful they are. Can you tell everybody, what you do with cost segs is awesome, but how your passion for Swim with a Mission is just epic.
Well, thank you. So, so I was fortunate enough back in the day to start running with this cost seg thing back in '99. And as that has progressed, I've been able to give back to the community that protects the way of life that that America has and that our businesses prosper under. And those are the veterans that have served the U.S. And so I wanted to find a way of giving to them because they've protected us. And I never served, so I wanted to be able to do something. And so I got involved in 2017 with Swim with the Mission. To this point, we've raised about $15 million for veterans and their families at events like the paintball event and our dinner and we've got a run coming up in a couple weeks. We've got all kinds of various fundraisers through the year. But what we do is give that money back to folks that serve the veteran community. So whether that's dogs, we've given away a lot of dogs, hundreds of dogs. We give away enrollments into art therapy programs, equine immersion therapy, which is for horses and veterans. There's a connection there for veterans and horses, and it's an amazingly therapeutic service that's out there. Wow. So there's a lot we do, and we've got a great board that I'm a part of. Phil Taub and Julie Taub started it back in '17, and they brought on some really like-minded people that want to help veterans, and that's what we do.
So you've been with Swim with the Mission almost from the very beginning?
I wasn't there for the first event, the very first. I showed up there and got hooked.
Yeah.
We were raffling off a Jeep for a different veterans group that I was a part of at that time, and we were raffling off a Jeep, and they let me park a Jeep on the beachfront at Newfound Lake, which is unheard of, but I had this really cool Jeep there, and I got to know all these SEAL guys, and we just hit it off, and I got into it, and then they asked me to join their board as well, so it was fun.
How did you stumble? Did you stumble into swim, or did someone connect you? Like, how did you find it?
So the way it originally happened was in 2010. So right after 9/11 happened, okay, my kids were really little. You met both of my daughters at various things, but they were both little at that time. And I didn't have the time or the energy and the money to do anything. And I was just beyond the age to enlist.
Okay.
And I wanted to do something, but I couldn't. So then in 2010, I went to an air show that was hosted by the Traumatic Brain Injury of New Hampshire at Pease Air Force Base. So I went to that air show and was like, wow, this is amazing. And I ended up talking to the organizers and I got involved in their group. But they didn't really need somebody that had my skills. They really wanted doctors that knew brain science. They didn't
Okay.
need fundraising because they got their money through the government funding. And so I didn't really help much. I was there with them for a couple of years, then got involved with Veterans Count, that's Count, which is a great group. And they do more of like direct intervention with anybody that's ever served. And then through that, I had the Jeep raffle we were doing, and we did a few other fundraising things. You're going to see an eagle out front. That was one of our fundraisers for Veterans Count that I ran. And then got to know Phil Taub and Swim with the Mission when I had the Jeep on the beach. And that was just, it was amazing. So
Yeah, the paintball event. So is it the biggest fundraising paintball event in the entire world?
the entire world. We beat out Will Smith, who had the record for a while, and I think prior to Will Smith, it was William Shatner had. So we beat out Captain Kirk and Will Smith for taking over the title of the biggest paintball fundraiser in the world.
So you were very graceful for inviting us. We could not afford to be part of this. It was big ticket, but every paintball team got a Navy SEAL. We were undefeated, different jersey. I know you're a little butthurt about it still, but
Oh yeah, you were on that team, the cheating team. You were on the cheating team.
team.
Yes.
The cheating. I did hear they cheated originally.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
every
yeah.
year, freaking that guy.
Yeah.
But it's a good time.
You know, it was so cool. Every team got to play with a SEAL and bond and like hear some of their stories. But honestly, listening to them and hearing how like your organization actually impacted them and like gave them this additional community to, you know, to not feel alone and share their experiences with others and kind of turn challenging parts of their life and turn it into fuel for betterment. And that was really like, that was proof of the pudding there.
Yeah, I
that
mean,
event.
you heard Jason Kuhn talk, and he's like now at this point world famous coach for athletes and businesses. And he spoke. He was kind of our keynote speaker this year. And then you heard some of the individual guys talking about just individual little snippets of their life and everything. And I think all veterans, from what I've heard over these years, feel like they were part of a great team, and that's what they really thrived on and became accustomed to. And then they come out, and that's not there anymore.
Right.
And so now what do? And that's where some of them kind of lose their bearing and have some challenges. And
Yeah.
so that's what we try to help. Our goal in Swim with the Mission is to stop veteran suicide as much as we can. So everything we fund has that goal as its impact, to create situations where that won't be a thought in the veteran's head.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
could be the art or the horses or the dogs or the whatever. One of our veterans that we gave a dog to had lost both legs. And in his comment to us in front of the crowd, not this year, it was a few years ago, but his comment was the dog we gave him enabled him to love again because he had lost both legs. And he was very upset about that.
Sure.
But yet the dog enabled him to kind of not just focus on his own misery, but know that he had to take care of a dog. And the dog was going to take care of him, and it became a team then.
So when you're doing in Swim with the Mission and you're giving away dogs for veterans, what kind of dogs are they? Are they like they're not doing that, right?
No. So depending on the veteran, you know, if it was a team guy, if it was a SEAL or a special operator of another branch, they might be used to a Malinois or a German Shepherd. So
Okay.
we will match them up with that type of dog. But then there are plenty of other veterans that were not canine related in the service. So it could be a golden retriever or a black lab or a King Charles, whatever those are called.
Yeah.
So, it could
those
be
are
any kind of
awesome.
dog.
I love those.
So it just depends on what the veteran needs. And so the groups that actually do that service themselves help assess, well, what does this veteran need? What does he want it for? Is there a medical need or is it just a support animal?
Okay.
And so then they'll match up the temperament of the dog to that vet. And usually it could be a short time or a longer time training for both the dog and the vet to become accustomed to one another and to bond.
Wow.
So it's not like they show up today and they walk out tonight with a dog. It's going to be a process.
It's a process. Huh. It's almost like when you're like a sales leader or a manager and you're trying to put different people of your team with similar, personality traits, if you will.
Or dissimilar.
Or, yeah.
Or, maybe you want one to balance the other.
Wow.
So it's that kind of thing.
So
And that's not we don't do that. We just provide the money
Right.
to enable these other groups to do their thing.
Now, the organization that we were at earlier today, do they run all of your training and development, or is it kind of multiple organizations?
It's multiple organizations, and Runchkin Hill does training and breeding for police dogs. Runchkin Hill Farms in West Newbury, Mass. Robin Desmond, great dog trainer.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for Thor and Vader. But they train military and police dogs, yes, and they can do service dogs as well. So they do a nice job, and they're great. And then there are other groups that we work with, Baden Canine, which are the ones that actually train the legit combat dogs as well as service dogs. So there's just different groups in different parts of the country.
Combat dogs. What a crazy combination.
Oh man, yeah, those dogs. So Thor is pretty good, and Thor is really good as far as behavior and being kind of buttoned up. He's not out of control. But when you compare Thor to one of Robin's dogs or one of the Baden dogs, that's like legit, really, really trained, Thor looks like a drunken sailor.
Really?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you saw it. I mean, you saw Ripley there today. I mean, she's like right on. There's not a moment she's not on. And
Ripley was the second smaller dog?
yeah, the Mallee. She's a Malinois.
Yeah, that dog was a little terrifying.
Oh, those dogs make, as far as energy level, those dogs make Thor look like a slug, because they'll do any, like if you do any kind of social media search on Malinois, you'll see some incredible stuff those dogs do. They'll go up the side of a building. I mean,
Yeah.
like 15 feet and then spin around and then grab a suspended ball. I mean, they're awesome dogs. I was thinking of getting a Mallee, and my wife started to see some of the videos on social media, and she was like, German Shepherd's high energy, but a Mallee is over the top.
Right.
And so we were like, she goes, I don't know if this is the right thing for our family. And I said, let me look. And I watched, and I was like, yeah, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Mallees.
Yeah.
So like every morning I'll walk with Thor about 4 miles to sometimes 5 every morning. So he gets his energy out and he's good to go. But you go 3 or 4 days, if I'm traveling or whatever, he's kind of a little more jittery.
A little anxious.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I got to go burn some energy. So
That's awesome. So all of that is because, or you're able to do all of that because of your cost segregation work. That's your kind of your main business. And it's a great tool for real estate investors and developers and operators. What is a cost segregation depreciation model?
thing. Yeah.
Thing.
So when you guys buy an apartment building or an office building, you're going to either have everything when you buy it, you subtract out land, but then you bought it, so you paid $1.2 million for a property, let's say, and $200,000 was for land. So land, the dirt is non-depreciable. So what a cost seg does is say, wait a minute, Alex doesn't want to wait 27 and a half years to write off that whole 1 million, or 39 years to write off that whole 1 million.
Depending on whether it's residential or commercial.
Correct. So apartments are 27 and a half. Anything else other than apartments are 39 year. Sorry about that. So good job, Alex. Good catch.
I get one.
I won't let Thor grab you again. But so what cost seg does is say, wait a minute, some of this stuff could go into a faster life, and that's going to be 5 years or 15 years, and that can be somewhere conservatively between 15 and 25%. So of that million, you might get 20% of it, or 200 grand, as an immediate write-off with the new big beautiful bill. Bonus depreciation
Right.
back in place. So with that bonus depreciation in place, you spent $1 million on the building, but you get a $200,000 immediate write-off this year. And if you didn't do it in tax year 25, but it's a couple years out, or you bought a building in 2017 or 2018, you can step back and grab that same depreciation deduction in the current year.
Wow.
So you can catch it up, and you don't have to amend your tax return. So you get to grab that deduction, no amended return. Now you're going to reduce your income taxes, and guess what? Instead of sending that money to Washington, D.C., you get to take that money and go buy the next property. So you can take that money and leverage it out and get your next property. That's how you can really build and accelerate the growth of your portfolio.
Incredibly powerful for the immediate short term. And it's an awesome tool, especially if you are building and you're continually like doubling down and doing more and more and more. It's a great way to write off those or depreciate those gains much more quickly.
Correct. Yeah. And you can do a 1031, which would allow you, when you're, like you said, kind of continuing to go up the food chain, you could take the 1031, defer the tax on the gain,
right,
and defer the recapture into the next building. Now you went from a $2 million building to a $5 million building, or a $10 million building. And so it can just really accelerate for you.
Right. It's a secret. It's not even a secret. It's just people don't really know about it, but it's one of the most powerful tools for wealth creation and preservation in this industry.
You're absolutely right. And it is amazing because our industry, cost seg industry, has a group called the ASCSP, which many of my team members are part of that group. The ASCSP, American Society of Cost Segregation Professionals.
So I was going to say.
Yeah, So yes, we're tax dorks, but what are you going to do? That's who you hang out
You're
with.
not. I wouldn't call you dorks. I just saw two tactically trained canines. So.
Well, tax dogs then.
You got tax dogs.
So, the industry, ASCSP, says only 30% of the real estate investors out there that could take advantage of it do. In other words, of 1,000 transactions out there that would potentially qualify for a cost seg, only 300 of them use the cost seg because it's not talked about.
Right.
And so that's what I'm doing here on your podcast today.
So
is talking about that.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll put your contact information in the description. Anybody that owns real estate that is looking for tax savings or thinking about selling and wanting to minimize their gains, then you should actually reach out to this guy. When is a good time to leverage a cost segregation? Like, can you do it with any property? Does it need to be a big property? When can you use it?
So cost seg will make sense typically when the client spends $1 to get the study done and they save $4 or $5 in tax. So if I went over to Harrison and said, "Hey Harrison, you give me $1 to do this study, I'll save you $4 or $5. He's probably going to go, "Hey, that's cool, let's do it." Well, we get over that threshold at about 300 grand.
Okay.
So if he's paid any more than 300 grand for a property, this is probably going to make sense. So he'll get at least that. And if he's at 600 grand, it's probably 6 or 7 to 1. And if it's $1 million, it might be 8 or 9 to 1. And if it's 5 million, it's going to be 25 to 1. So as the scale goes up, as the purchase price goes up, or the construction value goes up, then the numbers get even more compelling.
So one of the really cool things about this is, let's say you purchase something that was distressed and then you make a lot of investment into the property, you can work on depreciating all of those improvements, right?
That's plus, yes. So yes, you get that. But what the pro tip, so that's I'll say the plain vanilla. But what about If you bought the building, it had tenants in it, but you were waiting on permits, you were waiting on architectural plans, whatever. So you bought it, and what the pro tip is, do the cost seg on the building you bought. So you identify everything in the building. We would call it a baseline study. So you identify everything in the building, and you're good to go. Everything has a value. Not only the accelerated stuff, but the not accelerated stuff. And then a year or 2 or 6 months, whenever it is, you do the renovations and you fix it up and you spend a bunch of money there. And just like you said, you can do a cost seg on that. So you've done a cost seg on the baseline, you've done a cost seg on the new improvements. And you go, okay, so what? Well, because we now know what you put in the building and we knew what was in the building to start, you can take a write-off. The IRS will allow you to take a write-off on all the stuff you threw away. So you will have thrown away the roof probably and the windows because you upgraded from single pane to double pane, or you got rid of the doors, or the siding was all beat up or ugly or whatever, or the ceramic tile. So you can take another bite at the tax apple with a cost seg baseline plus the improvements, and you get to take a write-off on everything that landed in a dumpster.
So you get to wash your hands twice.
Right, and it's all completely legal. It's
all
not
legal.
double dipping,
Right.
Because you're allowed to take what they technically, since this is going out to the public, I'll go a little deeper just to say it. It's a partial asset disposition, a PAD in the code, partial asset disposition, which is when you're not bulldozing the whole building, you're just taking a part of it and throwing it away.
Cool.
So you get to take a write-off for that.
So can you do cost segregations on single family homes or 2-family homes?
Anytime typically it'll make sense anytime you've spent more than 300 grand. And short-term rentals, since you're talking single family, oftentimes those will be short-term rentals, or that's of interest to a lot of people. Yes, you can do it for them because they're going to have the same stuff that an apartment building would have, just
Sure.
a little less of it. But the cool thing on the short-term rentals is that you as the investor get to kind of put a wrapper around you that's almost like being a real estate professional, and you can use the losses created for the short-term rental against your personal income,
Against your active income?
against your day job income, which is a smoking deal.
Smoking.
That's in the tax code too. That's the official word, smoking deal. So I try not to be too much of a dork, but,
Dude,
but
you're
I'm
awesome.
there. I'm there.
You're
So,
awesome.
Pardon me? No, good try. No, that was worth a shot. But yeah, primary resident. It's got to be an asset that you've set up a depreciation schedule for and you've started to write it off.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Jeff, thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
having us
Yeah.
come out for the day and spend some time with you.
It was
This
great.
was awesome.
Great. And I'm psyched you guys have a lot of stuff going on, and keep it going and just muscle through everything and just burn the ships and just keep going.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Everybody, thanks for checking this out. If you're interested in a cost seg, look for his info. It'll be in the description. This is an awesome guy. And if you're lucky, he might let his dog bite you. With a suit on, of course. I'm going to try to put some of that video over this. So.
Oh, I hope you will.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
All right, everybody. Peace, love. See you soon.